From this heart-stopping crash
Put it in the wall. Big crash on board.
to this one.
This time on the inside, a continent touch.
Every F1 driver has faced their worst nightmare on track in some way or another. Let's take a look at the worst crashes from each one. Kicking things off with the newest driver on the grid, Franco Colapinto. After a year and a half of this,
You okay? You okay? No, I crashed. I don't know what happened, man. I'm in the wall.
Logan Sargent running into the back of the Alpha Tauri.
Oh dear.
Williams, to everyone's relief, finally ditched Sargent after the 2024 Dutch GP and brought in the Argentine, who had proven to be very fast in the lower leagues. And what can I say? Colapinto bagged his first points in only his second race in Baku, making Sargent look like a total clown and showing he's just not cut out for F1. Sorry, my Americans. But of course, like any rookie, Colapinto has already made some mistakes. During practice in Baku, he made this error.
Commentator's curse for Franco Colapinto. He's hit the barrier, exited turn 4.
I think we can all agree that's just a simple rookie mistake. And well, I'm pretty sure Williams prefers that over this.
We're on the grass.
Grass.
Oh no.
Not gonna lie, I'm surprised they didn't fire him sooner. And before we dive into the more serious crashes, a driver who hasn't had a single big crash is Piastri. Of course, he only started F1 in 2023, but the Aussie has been super clean and consistent, barely making any mistakes. I've been digging around for a while, and the worst crash I found for him was in the second practice run of the 2023 Dutch GP, where this happened.
So into turn 3, Piastri, that's happened all by himself.
Honestly, I think that'd be the cutest crash for any other driver on the grid. In fact, Danny Rick did the same just seconds later, but with much more severe consequences. At first, it looked like a pretty silly mistake, just like Piastri's, but the Aussie broke his wrist on impact, with a sudden jerk of the steering wheel forcing him to miss a bunch of races that season. But to be fair, like Piastri, Ricciardo wasn't a driver who crashed much. Still, one crash he won't forget was during the second practice of Monaco 22. The Aussie not only knows what it's like to win on the streets of the Principality, like he did in 2018.
Today in Monte Carlo, it's redemption day for Daniel Ricciardo. He wins the Monaco Grand Prix.
But he also knows what its walls taste like.
He picked up a bit of understeer in turn 13.
No, he lost the rear.
Ouch, that had to hurt. And yeah, I know Ricciardo's not on the grid anymore, but I just can't forget about him. His replacement, just like in 2023, is Liam Lawson, who showed he had some serious pace in the races the Aussie missed.
He's going down the inside. Liam Lawson.
He had a rough debut with the weather at the Dutch GP and unfortunately messed up on the third practice.
Lawson in his first session has brought out the yellow flag.
But honestly, that was nothing considering how tricky the track conditions were. Just like Danny, Checo also bumped into Monaco's wall in his rookie season back in 2011.
So is it true that you're the Mexican Minister of Defense?
That's what they say, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's cool.
But it turned out much worse. The Mexican kicked off his career with Sauber and snagged his first points in the 5th round in Barcelona, picking up speed and getting better with each race. Everyone agreed he was a very promising driver already, but when it came to Monaco, he completely lost control coming out of the tunnel. That was scary. The worst part, Checo didn't get out of the car on his own. The medics had to rush in and pull him out. They took him to the hospital in an ambulance. Thankfully, it was confirmed just an hour and 25 minutes later that he was alright. Just a bruise and a cut on his thigh, no broken bones. Considering just how bad that crash was, I think we can all agree that was lucky as f***. Checo later said he was unconscious for a few minutes and had some blank spots in his memory. He only remembers the crash and then waking up in the hospital. Obviously, he didn't drive the next day, yet still made his comeback just 2 weeks later in Canada. Maybe a bit too early, however, as he still felt kinda dizzy on Friday, so he had to bail on the GP last minute. Another crash that pushed both human and machine to their absolute limits, and over, was Sainz in 2015, during FP3 in Sochi, driving for Toro Rosso in his first ever F1 season. He had just scored 3 points in the last 2 races, by the way, so confidence and momentum were high. But with only 35 minutes into the run,
Red flag, the race is red flag.
An impact at a massive 46 Gs, with the car completely buried in the barriers. The medical team quickly rushed to take him to the hospital by helicopter as part of the protocol, while Sainz gave a thumbs up to calm everyone down. Miraculously, he just had a bit of a sore neck and back. He missed qualifying but managed to race the next day. What a G. When it comes to high G-force crashes, I gotta mention Verstappen at Silverstone in 2021. It's starting to feel like I talk about this incident every vid, but what a crash. From the intense rivalry, controversy and over 51 Gs, Max was on pole and Hamilton P2, and when the lights went out, the showdown kicked off.
Stone, and it's lights out and away we go.
Until this moment.
This time on the inside, a continent touch! Verstappen is out of the race and that's a big crash into Copse! Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen coming together. Hamilton continues on. Charles Leclerc now leads the British Grand Prix.
Oh my God, a 51G hit sideways impact into the barrier. Honestly, I don't even know how Max got out of the car by himself. They instantly took him to the hospital for a complete checkup, and thankfully, he was fine. But the impact was insane. Hamilton got slapped with a 10-second penalty, but of course...
Hamilton has picked up the reins since the restart. He's chased down the prancing horse. He chases the checkered flag. He wins the British Grand Prix.
Man, that season was something else. And as I'm seeing the comments a mile away, Team LH or diehard Max fans, I'm just showing the crash. So relax with the insults. Fight it out in the comments if you'd like, but leave me out of it. Just a year later, back at Silverstone, we had one of the scariest crashes I've ever seen. Zhou Guanyu started in 9th, and as soon as the lights went out, none other than the GOAT, yep, him, overtook Zhou and Russell, while Gasly had a good start too. But then, Gasly got stuck between Zhou and Russell, leading to this.
It will look bad. It looked bad.
What the hell? What the hell happened?
Holy shit. Imagine this crash a couple of decades ago. Zero chance of survival. Zhou was stuck upside down and couldn't get out. Russell ran to help him.
I just see this car just barrel rolling towards the barriers, well over 100 miles an hour. I was just thinking about Joe.
While the medics arrived, they quickly got him out and took him to the hospital, where, thankfully, it was confirmed that Zhou was completely okay physically. When you see a car upside down, you're holding your breath. But when the upside down car catches fire, honestly, this one is a tough one. We're in Abu Dhabi. The year's 2018.
It's lights out and away we go, and it's at it with some top speed down there to move, and that is the Renault of Hulkenberg going over and over and over and out of this race.
Just a little bump at low speed, and boom. And then really hit the fan. And Hulkenberg gave us one of the best radio calls ever.
I'm hanging here like a cow.
Yeah.
Get me out, there's fire.
Yeah.
There's fire.
It's alright, they're coming. They're coming.
Thankfully, he walked away, completely unharmed. It's in these moments where I'm so fucking glad for all the safety improvements we've gone through. Now, time to go to Australia. Melbourne 2024. Russell is 7th on the very last lap, right on Alonso's tail. He sees an opportunity. Stuck there in the middle of the track, praying no one crashes into him at 200 miles per hour. And since he knew that no one but Mr. Strulovic was right behind him, he completely freaked out.
Red flag, red flag, red flag, I'm in the middle of a track. Okay. Red flag, red flag.
Red flag, you got Stroll.
Red, 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 red. I'm in the middle, red. Hell.
Thankfully, and I don't even know how, neither Stroll nor anyone else hit him. And guess what? They ended up penalizing Alonso. Yeah, you heard that right, with 20 seconds for potentially dangerous driving. He supposedly braked too early, causing Russell's crash. No words on that. But that wasn't Russell's only major accident. During the 2021 Emilia-Romagna GP, he had a massive one with Bottas, a guy we can probably all agree is one of the cleanest drivers out there. That race kicked off under the rain, and let me tell you, it was total chaos.
There's the Ferrari at Aqua Minerale of Charles Leclerc. And Aqua Minerale, and that's a spinning Williams of Nicholas Latifi. It's Nicholas Latifi in the Williams, and he is out.
On lap 32, Russell, somehow in P10 with that crappy Williams, tried to pass Bottas. Honestly, I have no idea whose fault it was. Maybe it was just another racing incident, but those two wouldn't stop throwing insults at each other.
What the was he doing? Honestly, is he a or what?
What a Are you okay, Valtteri?
But by far Bottas's biggest crash ever. And for just good old time's sake, here's how Kimi reacted to that crash.
I got spread with all kind of
In 17 years of F1, Kimi saw all kinds of crashes, and same can go for Lewis. But since his debut in 2007, he's pretty much seen it all. But in my opinion, his worst one happened in his rookie season during a flying lap in Q3 at the Nürburgring. The Brit was going all out when, coming up to turn 8, his front right tyre casually blew up at 175 miles per hour. Wow, just brutal. I think that was the day he really figured out just how dangerous F1 could be. If you're wondering what he's doing with his legs, he was moving them so fast to check if he had broken them. The medics quickly arrived and took him to the hospital, but within 2 hours, he was back in the paddock, ready to race the next day. Insane. Much like Kimi and Hamilton, Alonso's another OG who's pretty much seen it all. He's got the most race starts in history and has had some pretty horrible crashes. It was quite hard to pick just one, but I think you'll agree it had to be Interlagos 2003. That weekend was historic. The hands device had just become mandatory, and it was like fate wanted to test it out. It was raining non-stop on Sunday. Pretty much every driver on the grid was making mistake after mistake.
Oh, Coulthard getting a big slide.
One of them was Mark Webber, who on lap 54 had a massive crash going up towards the finish line. He first slammed into the wall on the right side of the track, and then spun across to the other, leaving a bunch of debris and pieces from his Jaguar spread across the track. Every driver attempted to dodge them, but Alonso, who came by shortly after, couldn't avoid them.
Pass right and oh!
Nasty. He hit the stationary tyre
and slammed right into one of his tyres at about 170 miles per hour. Multiple nasty hits and 60 G's, 60. Obviously, he could barely get out of the car by himself. I always wonder how they find the strength to get out after such a brutal crash. That's gotta leave you totally crushed. Alonso was rushed to the hospital, and the Spaniard himself confirmed he was kinda good from the stretcher. If it weren't for the hands device, he probably wouldn't be alive today. With only a few drivers left on track, they called the race using the results from the lap before, and Alonso even ended up on the podium, but of course, he couldn't show up, leading to this strange image. From hands to halo, these security implementations always got hate at first, but aren't we glad they're in place now? Leclerc's crash in 2018 made a lot of people change their minds on the halo. He started P13 at Spa, but his race didn't last long. Insane. Alonso's car went right over him. Thank God for the halo. I don't even want to imagine what would have happened otherwise. And you know whose fault it was?
What we're about to see is Hülkenberg get too deep on the brakes.
He had zero plans to hit the brakes at the first corner. Starts are always prime time for crashes, but now imagine this, a one-lap race. Yeah, you heard that right. This was exactly what the FIA cooked up for the 2023 Australian GP, where a last-minute red flag meant they forced a standing restart with just one lap to go. And let me tell you, that was a pretty stupid idea. With all drivers having just one lap, everyone would be going all out, no holding back from no one. The perfect recipe for disaster.
From the top three, it's going to be close to contact, and Fernando Alonso is spun round by Carlos Sainz. Perez is off the road. It's Max Verstappen with the lead. Then it's Hamilton, and there's a crash in the back of the field. Into the wall goes Gasly, and into absolute chaos on the restart.
In all that chaos, the Alpine drivers, doing Alpine things of course, took each other out, with Ocon running into Gasly. I think that was definitely Gasly's biggest crash, as he doesn't really crash that often, but Ocon crashing into his teammates is just another day at the office for him, and his biggest crash couldn't have been with anyone other than his ex-teammate and forever rival, Alonso. Let's go back to Brazil, 2023 this time. While Alonso was on an outlap and moved off the racing line to let the Frenchman pass, Ocon...
Oh, what is going on there?
Well, I don't even know what the hell Ocon was trying to do. And well, it looks like he just lost the rear. But what about his radio?
Hey, idiot, Fernando.
Excuse me? But to be fair, Ocon hasn't crashed even half as much as the next driver. This man is a pure professional. His crown jewel came during qualifying for the 2023 Singapore GP. He put every safety feature in modern F1 to the test, from the car to the barriers.
Gasly goes, oh, he's going to put it in the wall. Big crash on board with Lance Stroll. He was trying to wring the neck of the speed there.
The sight of that Aston completely wrecked in the middle of the track just gave me chills. But thankfully, Stroll walked away by himself. Almost reminds me of Albon's Toro Rosso during the FP3 in the 2019 Chinese GP, running a tad bit wide in the last corner and losing control. Thankfully, he was fine, but his mechanics didn't have enough time to fix the car for qualifying, so he had to start from the back the next day. So from Albon to Tsunoda, we're gonna see another loss of control.
That's a big shunt.
Nothing too dramatic, but a man who had a truly terrifying crash is this guy. Out of all his crashes, the biggest one happened at the 2016 Belgian GP. On lap 6, he lost control of his Renault at a crazy speed at the top of Eau Rouge.
Oh, and there's someone gone into the tyre barrier on the exit of Radion, and it is the Renault of Kevin Magnussen. That's a really, really big impact there.
The impact was so big, his headset flew off right away. Amazingly, after that, Magnussen got out like it was nothing. With that much speed, at that particular part of Spa, it's so easy to lose control. And he's not the only one. In 2021, Norris had a similar crash while trying to nail a good time in qualifying. That session was plagued by heavy rain, as always, and Lando completely lost control of his McLaren at Eau Rouge.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. That's Lando Norris. Eau Rouge and up to a Radion. Lando Norris has had a big off.
It's wild to see how many times he span around before finally hitting the barrier on the other side and coming to a stop. But that's what mostly cushioned the second impact. With the car completely wrecked, we were all bracing for the worst. And Seb, who happened to be passing by, stopped to make sure Lando was okay.
What the did I say? What did I say? Red flag! Me. It's unnecessary. Is he okay?
Thankfully, he climbed out the car quite quickly. Honestly, we chat a lot of but the safety in F1 these days is truly impressive. We've just looked at some of the most insane crashes of all time, yet in most, the drivers got out of the car and walked away like it was nothing. If you disagree with my selection, I'm sure you'll let me know. And make sure to watch this next one. I'm 110% confident you'll love it. And as always, thank you for watching.